Hello and welcome to our youth interview workshop. Today we'll be covering how to prepare for your interviews and look at the common questions employers like to ask. Second Chance has 3 locations to serve you. If you're looking for help with resumes, cover letters, or job searching, please visit us and we'd be happy to help. You can also follow us on social media or find our website at www.secondchance.ca. During today's presentation, we will go through how to prepare for your interview, what you should wear, and some simple do's and don'ts. We will also look at common questions employers like to ask and how to answer them. Finally, we will look at questions you should be asking towards the end of your interview. Preparing for an interview starts before you apply to positions. After you apply, more and more employers are using social media to quickly look up candidates to identify if what they say on their resume matches what they see online. It's important that you look at your own social media to make sure there is nothing that could cause the employer to not want to interview you. It's important to start this before you start applying to jobs. This way you don't have anything to worry about. When looking at your own social media, you want to look at what you have posted and ask yourself if you're comfortable with an employer seeing that information, picture, or tweet. You will also want to make sure there is no information that the employer could see that would make them wonder if you're a good choice. Increasing your security settings is also a good idea, as this will prevent employers from being able to see any of your postings. Social media is also helpful for you, the job seeker. During the application process or before the interview, you will want to do some research on the company. This could include checking out their website, social media, or other digital platforms the company may have. Reading over this information and being familiar with the company will help to answer interview questions. Reading through their website can help you tailor your interview examples, including skills to highlight and experiences to share. Demonstrating information about the company also helps because employers want to hire people who are familiar with what their company does and how they operate. The more you know about a company, the more ready you will appear to take on the role. Let's now take a look at the different steps for getting ready for your interview. Most importantly, get there on time. Make sure you know how to get to the business, where to enter, and who to ask for when arriving. If you're taking a bus, you want to make sure you'll get there with time to spare, and if you're driving, be sure to check the roads and ensure there are no slowdowns or closures. Doing a practice run can be a great way to get ready and see exactly how long it takes to get there. Clothing is an important part of your overall presentation to the employer. Being well dressed shows the employer that you are taking this process seriously and that you respect the employer for taking their time to interview you. Make sure your clothes fit and that they are clean. You don't want to dress too casually for an interview, so make sure you have clothes that can be used in an interview. When considering what else goes into personal appearance at an interview, hygiene is critical, but you will want to be careful with perfumes, makeup, and accessories. Some places are scent free and they don't want their employees using strong smelling perfumes or deodorants. With makeup and accessories, it is important they don't distract the interviewer from what you are saying. The focus should always be on your skills and experience, and sometimes excess makeup or accessories can take away from this. The following picture highlights the difference between business casual and professional. For most interviews, business casual is appropriate. Again, make sure your clothes are clean and presentable. Do not wear shorts, jeans, hats, or sandals to an interview. These clothing choices are not professional and can make for a bad first impression. Just like you study for a test, you will want to practice and prepare for questions before your interview. You will want to practice out loud so that you can effectively communicate achievements and skills. Interviews are not easy and they can cause anxiety and make us nervous. This can cause us to stutter, speak quietly, or even freeze up. The more we practice our answers, the more comfortable you will be during the interview. Practicing out loud will also help you control your tone of voice, as well as practicing sounding enthusiastic and excited about the opportunity. Make sure you are familiar with all the information on your current resume. You will want to bring a few copies of your resume to an interview, along with a separate sheet of paper with your references on it. You should also reach out to your references before the interview to make sure they are still willing to be a reference and that their contact information is up to date. Provide position and job title information to your references. This will help your reference think of skills and positive attributes that they can share with the employer. It's a good idea to have at least 3 references. They can be previous supervisors, coworkers, mentors, or teachers. The last part of your preparation is to think of a couple of questions you are going to ask the employer. You should write these questions down ahead of time. Good questions will lead to more information about the company, the position, and any other benefits of working for the company. Stay away from questions that can be answered with a yes or a no. Ask open-ended, broad questions about company culture, challenges in the role, and what the employer expects of you in the first 3 months. Here are some last-minute tips for when you arrive to your interview. Show up 10 to 15 minutes early. Treat everyone you meet with courtesy and respect. Turn off your cell phone and do not text, browse sites, or play games while waiting for your interview to begin. Smile and introduce yourself to staff. Maintain eye contact as best you can during the interview. And finally, listen to the interview questions and think about your answers carefully. Be sure you understand the question, as you can always ask the employer to repeat that question or ask for clarification questions to make sure you're answering it correctly. Another aspect to be aware of is your nonverbal communication. Your handshake, posture, and eye contact are all important parts of nonverbal communication during your interview. It's good to practice your handshake with friends or family, and posture is important as it will allow for better communication and make you appear confident in your answers. Maintaining eye contact will build trust and rapport between yourself and the employer and hopefully lead to a better chance of being selected for the position. Before talking about common questions, let's discuss transferable skills. When an employer asks what skills you have, it can be difficult to think of any if we haven't worked or volunteered before. The good news is everyone has skills, and transferable skills are those that we can use to apply to any job. They should be used in relation to an achievement or success, or with a story that can demonstrate how you have used these skills in the past. Skills such as teamwork, problem solving, communication, and reliability are skills that every employer is looking for, and if you can prove you have these skills, the better the chance you have of being selected. Now let's take a look at some of the common interview questions employers like to ask. Tell me about yourself is often the first question employers like to ask. The first question is always the most difficult, as you can still be anxious and nervous. Therefore, with this question, it is a good idea to script out your answer and practice it. Employers like to ask this question as it provides a brief snapshot of your achievements, experience, skills, training, and education. Remember that when answering this question, to keep the information you share relevant to the job you are applying for. Your answers should be tailored to the skills and experience that will help sell you to that particular employer. A well-practiced answer to this question will help to engage the interviewer and boost your confidence as you move through the interview. Let's take a look at an example. In the example, the candidate provides an overview of their current experiences and education level. The candidate includes what they are doing in their current volunteer role and lets the employer know what they enjoy about that role. As long as they are relevant, you could also include topics such as school clubs, your co-ops, your high school major, certificates, or any special training you have received. Again, this answer is supposed to be a snapshot, so keep your answer brief and avoid going into long stories or sharing too much personal information. Why do you think you're the right person for the job? Employers can ask this question in several different ways, but your goal is to sell your skills and experiences. It's a good idea to look over the job posting and see what the employer is looking for. Based on what the employer is looking for, ask yourself, what are my most impressive accomplishments, skills, and experiences as they relate to the position? Once you've decided on 3 or 4 examples, create arguments or sales pitches which highlight how you have used or demonstrated these skills in the past. Again, write out these arguments as well. A well-rehearsed answer will be easier to communicate and it'll make you sound more confident. The candidate here highlights skills, experiences, and certificates they have that make them a good choice for the position. Remember, clear and concise communication will help to ensure the employer understands what you are selling and what you can bring to the role. What is your greatest weakness? Employers like to ask this question because it helps them understand if you will be receptive to critical feedback, whether or not you learn from your mistakes, and if you are capable of making self-improvements in the areas related to employment. By identifying a unique weakness and then demonstrating the steps taken to overcome that weakness, you will demonstrate to the employer that you are someone who can take feedback and make changes to overcome any weaknesses. The weakness you choose should be unique to you and should be a single statement within the answer, with the rest of your answer being focused on the steps taken to overcome your weakness. As an example, we can see the weakness was poor organizational skills. The candidate then talks about what solutions they implemented to overcome this weakness and how it helped them become a more effective employee. Take your time to develop a good weakness answer, as it will stick out in the employer's mind. A good answer will demonstrate several skills, including problem solving, the ability to self-manage, and implement changes. Situational and behavioral questions are asked to see whether you understand what to do in specific work scenarios. Situations involving a difficult customer, teamwork, conflict, decision-making, and ethical dilemmas are common examples. When preparing for these types of questions, you should think of stories you can share that highlight your experience and the steps taken to resolve them. When telling these stories, you can use the acronym SAR, or Situation, Action, Result. This approach helps you to tell your stories in easily understandable ways, as it helps to organize your stories and make them easier to communicate and share your skills and knowledge. In the example provided, we can see the candidate provides a situation and then discusses the actions they take with a clear result at the end. In your own examples, provide a detailed step-by-step explanation of the actions you took to resolve the situation. If you were part of a team, focus on the actions you were responsible for and how they contributed to group success. These stories can be from anywhere, including school projects, co-ops, volunteer work, and school clubs. If you don't have a previous story or example, still let the employer know that you know what to do in those situations. You may say, I've never had to deal with an angry customer, but if that happened here are the steps I would take to resolve that issue. Demonstrating to the employer that you know what to do is just as good as sharing an experience or story. There are a few illegal questions that employers are not allowed to ask during an interview. The list provides an overview of questions that should not be asked during an interview, but sometimes we do see questions like this during online applications. You might see questions asking if you're 18 years or above, or if you need accommodations to perform the task associated with the position. Remember, if these questions come up during an interview, you can answer them. But if they make you feel uncomfortable or you are not sure why the company is asking for that information, you can always let them know that you don't want to answer or ask why they need that information. At the conclusion of the interview, there are several additional questions you will want to ask, including who will contact you, what the next steps are, and when a decision will be made. Knowing this information can let you follow up in an appropriate time. Secondly, you will want to get as much contact information as possible. This will allow you to send a thank you letter. A thank you letter should be sent within 24 hours of the interview and restate your interest in the position and the key skills you will bring to the job. Here's an example of a thank you letter. Remember to keep it short and don't expect an employer to respond to your email. Thank you for taking part in our youth interview workshop session. If you need support or have questions about an upcoming interview, please contact us and we would be happy to help.